Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the foreign trade in India since independence, and we are also going to discuss about what is the meaning of foreign trade, types of foreign trade, and what is the need of foreign trade in the developing economy. So all this we are going to discuss in this video. Now, let's get into the video. We need to know what is the meaning of foreign trade. The meaning of trade is exchange of goods and services, and the meaning of foreign trade is exchange of goods and services across the international borders or the territories. This foreign trade is very crucial for the continuance of globalization, and it's a major source of revenue for the nation that is considered as world power. That means big nations are benefited by the foreign trade, and there are three types of foreign trades. The first one is import trade, second one is export trade, and third one is re-export trade. So import trade means importing or purchasing goods from another country or a foreign country. Export trade means selling our domestic goods in foreign countries, and re-export trade means importing trades from one country and exporting those goods in another country is called as re-export trade. It is also called as entry-port trade. And now let's discuss India's economic condition during independence. We all know that we are under the British control till 1947. All the economic wealth of India was plundered by Britishers. All the raw materials are transported from India to British, and their manufactured goods are sold in India. That means Britishers made India as their market and they sold their products. And the economic conditions during 1947 are worse. We face the worst conditions like poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, and so many things. The standard of living is also very low during the 1947. So the Jawaharlal Nehru government has focused on tackling all these problems. So we decided and we took part in the foreign trade. And what is the importance of foreign trade for a developing economy? We all know that India is still a developing economy. We are not a developed economy. Developed economies are USA, UK, France. That means they and etc. That means they have very good manufacturing sectors. The secondary sector, the primary sector, and the tertiary sectors are very good. But in India, during 1947, the conditions are not up to its mark, because we faced the economic plundering. All our raw materials are plundered by the Britishers, and there is no industrialization, and only homemade or handmade goods were available in India. The native products are not being sold in another countries, and also the manufactured goods are being sold by Britishers in India. And because of those manufactured goods, our native goods have lost their demand. And during and after 1947 also, India is a supplier of foodstuffs like spices, rice, and so on, agricultural products, and also raw materials to industrialized nations, particularly England. And Britishers purchased raw materials from India at a very low cost, and they sold their products at a very high price. So this also led to the economic drain in the country. And India became a sovereign country after independence and started trading with world nations. We know till 1947 India is under the control of Britishers. After 1947 India became an independent country, and also after 1950 it's a sovereign country. it became a sovereign country. That means India is not under the rule of any other country. It can take its own decisions regarding the development of country, and no country has a right over India. So our government started the foreign trade and started importing goods from other countries, and also started exporting goods to other countries. And an economy which decides to embark on a program of development is required to extend its production at a very fast rate. That means we are developing economy. We need to increase our production. Okay, we need to increase, or we need to boost up our manufacturing sector. We need to export our goods. We need to increase exporting goods to other countries rather than importing goods from other countries. This is what a developing economy need. Okay, by exporting goods we can gain the revenue, but by importing goods we expend our money, we expend our revenue. So exporting goods is needed for a developing economy to become a developed economy. Okay, now for this, in the very initial stage of production in India, we are not having good equipment or good machinery in the industries. So we wanted to establish industries in India. So for that we need equipment or machinery. So what a developmental import means: imports which help to create a new capacity in some lines of production or enlarge the capacity in other lines of production are called as developmental imports. For example, if we want to set up a steel industry or hydroelectric project, we need some equipment, and these developmental imports from other countries help us in the progress of the economy. So these imports, these developmental imports will help for the development of the country, development of the manufacturing sector. And secondly is the maintenance imports. Okay, if we establish the steel project or steel plant, then we need the equipment. It's okay, we get that equipment from developmental imports. Now what is needed is the maintenance imports. That means the raw materials. If we establish the industries at a very large scale, even we need large amount of raw materials. There may be scarcity, because during the time of independence, agriculture was also not up to the mark. Only there are also so many problems in Indian agriculture. We'll discuss in later video. So some imports we need to, or some raw materials we need to buy from other countries. So those are called maintenance imports. And next is we need to buy intermediary goods. So what are intermediary goods means? Product used to produce the final good or the finished product. The product between the raw material and the finished good is called as intermediate goods. And these intermediate goods are also referred as consumer goods. So now let us know what is the meaning of consumer goods. So what are consumer goods? So consumer goods means goods which are used by the consumer rather than the manufacturer. Okay, those goods are directly used by the consumer, but not a manufacturing unit or a manufacturing sector, is called as a consumer goods. So for a development or for a developing economy, the developmental, the maintenance imports sets a limit to extend the industrialization which can be carried out in a given period. So we have set, for suppose we have set a 5 years that we need to boost our industrialization in the country, then these imports will help a lot in boosting up the economic activities. And besides these developmental and maintenance imports, the intermediary goods or the consumer goods also helps, which in the short supply during the early stages of industrialization. That means during the early stages of industrialization, these consumer goods will help in decreasing the scarcity of the goods, because we have set up the industries at a large scale. So these consumer goods and intermediary goods might also help, because there were many manufacturing sectors which were stopped at their initial stages because of lack of these goods. So now let us discuss about the trade and aid slogan. And now we have discussed about the goods in foreign trade, and now in context to India, it is inevitable during the early years of development, imports have to be increased at a very fast rate. In order to increase the production, we need to have imports or raw materials that we have started buying from the other countries. And it is natural that balance of trade in such situation will turn heavily against the developing economy. So how purchasing of larger imports will affect the developing economy. In order to enlarge the exports, we are buying the imports. It's okay, but this is the external assistance. That means we may keep debit in, or we may debit the imported goods from the foreign countries, but in the early stages, the foreign country will assist a developing economy in giving the imports. But at the end, the developing economy should bear the burden. Okay. To meet a growing debit in the view of inelastic imports, a developing country must increase its imports. We all know that imports means we are expending our money, but export means we are generating revenue from foreign countries. So now let us know what is inelastic imports. Price of import increases relatively to price of exports. That means, okay, we are bringing imports from foreign countries at a high price, but our exports we are solding at a very low price. This is called as inelastic imports. So traditionally, underdeveloped countries like India have been exporters of foodstuffs and raw materials. As economic development proceeds, the raw materials exports generally decline, because the demand in the nation also meet the requirements of growing domestic industries. Okay, now before India is exporter of raw materials, but if we establish industries, even we need raw materials. So there will be export deficit also. Okay, that means we cannot export. There will be again trade deficit. So consequently, new development economy needs new market, or developing economy needs to find a new market to sell its new commodity and goods. So in this process, the developed nations will assist the underdeveloped nations. Okay, now clear? So these developed nations will become market for the underdeveloped nations, where they buy goods and services which are produced by the underdeveloped nations. This is the foreign aid. This is known as foreign help, and trade is also significant. Even if some nation if some nation agrees to buy our commodities, then it is our responsibility to produce goods and services in time, and this is known as foreign aid and foreign help, and it is very important for the underdeveloped country, and trade is also more significant. So this is how the new slogan, trade and aid has been raised by the underdeveloped nations. And this is the first part of our foreign trade in India since independence. Thanks for watching. So if you like the video, please give a like, share and subscribe. Thank you. All the best, aspirants.